Alright, what's going on, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen? The ACMJS Gamer here. We're back at it again with some more Ghost of Tsushima news. As you can tell by the title of this video or the article that you've more than likely already read, um, the game developers of Ghost of Tsushima from Sucker Punch Studios took to Twitter and they said, reply to this tweet with your questions and we will answer them in a future PlayStation blog. And so here they are. This is basically what the first paragraph here is. So we're going to go through the questions and then we'll go through the answers and I guess my interpretation of the answers. They're not, I mean, most of them are fully clear, but some of them are kind of like, this way or that way. So we'll go through them. As you can tell, you can watch the full state of play right there. I'll leave a link in the description down below to this article if you want to just read it yourself. The first question: are there different types of weapons apart from the sword, like axes or spears? They basically say the katana is Jin's family heirloom and will be with him from the beginning to the end, and it's typical for a samurai to only wield a sword as their main weapon. So, in short, no. You won't be able to wield axes or spears. It'll just be the sword. However, there is a bow. I think they said there's the long bow and then there's the half bow that you can wield as well as the I forget what the little the mini like distractors like firecrackers and stuff like that as well. As Jin grows into becoming this feared samurai warrior known as the Ghost, so too will some of his abilities and tactics. Learn to use the bow for picking off enemies at a distance or throwable kunai and smoke bombs at close proximity. We won't share all of these abilities before launch. We'd like to have something for players to discover. So they're saying there's a lot more to the game than just simply what you've already seen because they want to keep some surprises, which is respectable. In the GIF, Jin is playing a flute, so I automatically assume there's something you can do while you're on your travels, right? You can play the flute whenever you like. It's the perfect way to create a scene moment and take in the view. So they're basically saying if you're on the road traveling, I'm not exactly sure how this would work. Um, I don't know if when you're on the road traveling, if in order to save you have to like set up camp, kind of like in Red Dead Redemption, where you can set up camp and cook your own food, or if it's and that's like a save point, or if it's you can save whenever. But they're basically saying whenever you want, you take out the flute and you can you can take a picture, which I think is pretty cool because their photo mode is something that they should be proud of. At what point did you guys come up with the wind as a guiding mechanic? It's really unique and gorgeous, but I'm sure it didn't come easily. They basically said it was an early decision that they saw how beautiful the game looked, how stunning it was, and they wanted to put the wind in as a mechanic, and it actually came from a movie type of thing. They said they refined it a bunch since those early production days, and it expanded not only as an exploration tool, but also to be tracked to your next location objective, or also hidden collectibles. I also really love this image right here. It's really cool picture of Jin as the ghost, if you will. Um, does choosing to fight like a samurai or a ghost slash ninja have consequences? Was thinking it might be like a good evil karma system. He says no, there's not a karma system. There's one story that we're telling here, one journey for Jin. However, that one journey has multiple endings. It's been confirmed that there are multiple endings to the game, and while there isn't a good bad karma system, how you play as a ghost or as a samurai does affect your relationships with different people and different alliances. So I'm assuming this is going off of the fact that depending on who you have as an alliance, it might be a thing where at the end of the game there might be a big battle that comes and you see like a quick cutscene of all the different characters that you helped along the way, your journey to get there, and they're there to help you. So it may not be that you lose some I mean, you might end up. I'm assuming you would have the same amount of characters. It just depends on your actions, on who those characters are that support you, depending on your play style of one or the other. They did say, as for player making a choice, be clear there isn't a binary choice for the player. It's more about the player having freedom to play through any encounter in the style they prefer, wearing whichever armor they prefer, which I think that's really cool because they're basically saying if you want to play as the Ghost and have samurai armor, you can do that. You just have to be stealthy. Um, Mixing matching pieces of different armor sets, your actions aren't limited by your armor. I really like that. Oh, there was a game I was playing the other day. It was KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic, where certain like Jedi abilities were limited due to if you were wearing heavy armor. And I was like, that's interesting. Um, Back to this. For example, you may have seen that the standoff prompt appeared even in the ghost section. You can still use tools like smoke bombs, even if you're wearing samurai armor. As we showed in the state of play, that one scenario with the shipyard played out very differently based on how the player approached the situation. So they're basically saying at the shipyard, they did that at night, they did that under the ghost mechanics. You could go to the shipyard during the night dressed as a samurai and challenge them. Jin begins as a samurai, strong in sword combat, as he develops more ways of fighting when he comes to be known as the Ghost, but he never loses his skills with the sword. Story is about Jin growing to become a new kind of warrior just beyond the sword, essentially, who uses every weapon he has to save his home, no matter what your preferred means of attack, be it swords or stealth. The legend of the Ghost will grow. Next question, will there be a day-night cycle and dynamic weather? Yes to both. There are dynamic weather conditions that you will experience throughout your adventures in Tsushima. Some of them are tied to specific regions to give more flavor and personality to them, while others are tied to story moments along with the weather. We also have a full day and night cycle. I think that's very interesting. Is there a difficulty slider for those that want more challenging experiences? If so, are enemies more aggressive at higher difficulty levels, or do they have larger health bars? The game does feature 3 difficulty levels, easy, normal, and hard. I'm more than likely inclined to go with the easy because on stream because I'm kind of afraid of the combat at first, but it depends because I was also afraid of the combat with Star Wars Fallen Order, and I ended up or sorry, Jedi Fallen Order, and I ended up really liking that combat. So depending on how the combat works and if I can get it down, that depends. I may end up doing a separate save after I start live streaming it on normal just to see if I can do it. And I think a lot of people are going to have a hard time. And then there's some people that are going to be like Dark Souls players that are going to be like, I'm going to play the game on hard. The game is fair but very challenging. Mongols are more aggressive, and players must be precise to pull off extraordinary moves. By comparison, easy is for players who want to explore the island, enjoy the story, and still be occasionally tested by a worthy opponent. That would be me. I want to be able to just freely explore the island and play through the game. However, I do still want to, have a good fight every now and again. It's just whether or not I die trying it multiple times. We'll have to see. No matter which difficulty players choose, we never increase the health of enemies. This is to maintain the lethality of the katana. Our combat is about the player's skill. So they're basically saying that no matter who you are in this game with the katana, if you're not careful, 1 or 2 cuts could easily kill you, no matter what, which I think is very interesting because it's very true to real world, to real life. Will enemies be more aggressive in the final game compared to what has been shown? Some have watched the state of play and concluded Ghost of Tsushima is an easy game, which is not the case. Combat is designed to be lethal both ways, between you and your enemy and between your enemy and you. Not just for the players versus enemies, Jin's forces can definitely take him out quickly as well. The gameplay we showed was captured by one of the test leads on Ghost, very skilled with katana. Plus, Jin had some abilities that unlocked that you don't start out with in the beginning of the game. They said we wanted to show combat what it can look like when the player's mastered the controls and abilities. When Jin is at his best, we think most will find combat satisfyingly challenging. Interesting. Fantastic gameplay, however. Could you perhaps look at changing the physics of an arrow headshot? The backwards force was a tad unrealistic and over the top, otherwise an excellent demonstration. What they're referring to is there's a point here, I think it's when he's using the samurai standoff, the first one that they showed up. There's a point where he enters the camp and he just shoots an arrow at an enemy, and you just see him fly. Not fly. I think he ragdolls a little. No, he doesn't ragdoll, but he does fly back a little bit. And it was funny because I think everybody noticed that and they were like, that's not supposed to be there. But apparently, Nate said, this is something we've seen a lot of users comment on. You may have noticed that Jin uses two different bows in the demo, the half bow in the samurai portion, and then the long bow in the ghost portion. The longbow packs a much heavier punch and has the power to knock enemies back, as you saw in State of Play. So apparently that's what we're going to get. That'll be interesting to see in the final product when we're actually sitting here playing it. Are there villages or towns, side missions, content besides the main story? Well, I think this is kind of a dumb answer because obviously they're going to have more. I mean, not a dumb answer, a dumb question, but Jin's transformation from samurai into ghost is the main story of the game, but while on that journey, he will run into a number of other characters with stories of their own. Maybe they need help with something. If players choose, they can dive deep into these side stories, forging a tighter bond with the other brave people fighting to save their home. Not only do these stories provide a greater perspective on the invasion, but they offer some of the best rewards in the game. So, basically, you can, this is all theoretical. You're Jin, you're walking through the forest, you come upon like a cabin, and you see a woman, a woman crying, and you go up to her and you're asking her what's wrong, and she's like, oh, a bunch of Mongols took my son. Jin goes, where are they? She points, they went that way. And then Jin ends up basically clearing out a bandit spot, or not bandits, basically a bandit camp, but it's just a camp with Mongols in it, and you rescue her captured son, and then she's like, here, take this, and it's an armor charm, or it's some sort of religious token, or it's materials, or it's a weapon, just things like that. And we can kind of see as we've played these types of games before with The Witcher 3 where these types of things will go. He continues, while traveling, Jin will come upon a number of towns which are full of vendors and the opportunity for more side stories. So maybe you come upon a vendor and they're like, listen, I don't have anything that good. I do have one item, but I need you to do this favor for me. So you go do the favor, and then you come back, and then he gives you a special weapon. Like, that would be pretty cool, or is pretty cool in my opinion. Will it feature different endings based on the fighting style the players use more often, samurai or ghost? The game tells the human story about Jin's sacrifice to become the ghost. Players can choose primarily fight with a sword, bow, or stealth. Either way, Jin becomes a legend to the people of Tsushima and a terror to the Mongol invaders. That was kind of a... how do I put it? That it wasn't a vague answer. It was kind of an upfront answer to anybody who's asking about like main story plots. It's like, oh, I'm gonna ask this question, and they're like, yeah, well, they give the full thing of the game. They're basically saying whether or not you go stealth or not, Jin still becomes a legend, and you finish the game, and we assume push the Mongols out of the island. But with which allies will you do it? And I think that's what depends on the ending of the story there. How long is the game? This is an interesting one because most game companies won't comment on how long the game is. However, we do get a little sneak peek. A little sneak peek. Always a hard slash impossible question to answer for an open world game because not all players are gonna go off and do every single side mission, or they're not gonna go and explore every location. Um, Players should expect a scope that's markedly larger than our previous work for certain. He's talking about Infamous Second Son. If you're the type who will occasionally get distracted by something in the distance or nearby commotion, you're going to find a world you can get lost in and spend dozens of hours within. Immediately, I'm thinking if you were the type who will occasionally get distracted by something in the distance or nearby commotion, right there, nearby commotion, immediately I think of Red Dead Redemption 2. And the reason is I've been replaying through Red Dead Redemption 2 recently, and there are so many just random events that will happen that force you off of the road, and you say, okay, instead of going to do whatever I was going to do, what is the situation here? What is happening? What is going on? It could be a woman is getting robbed. It could be a stagecoach is getting robbed. It could be the O'Driscolls trying to rob you. It could be a bank robbery. It could be a woman fell off her horse and she needs to ride back into town. Um, just all this different stuff. And you can translate that into samurai times where it's like, oh, this person, is getting attacked by a bunch of Mongols. Okay, let's go kill them, just that type of, um, those types of scenarios or situations. You're going to find a world you can get lost in, spend dozens of hours within. There are also players who really only want to focus on the main story, and they can certainly play and enjoy the game a ton, though the they'll get to the end of the story a lot faster. So basically, not necessarily if you only play on hard mode or on easy mode, but they're basically saying if you play on easy. I mean, they're not expressly saying this. This is me saying this. I'm assuming if you play on easy, or even if you do play on easy mode, you still have the chance to go and search for stuff and still have all those random encounters and commotions. And they even said that if you see like fire in the distance, you can go there and see what's happening. That may not be a thing where um, where it's like there's just an objective there. It could be like, oh, something is on fire, the Mongols are burning down a town. You can stop them, or you can be like, whatever, I don't care. Um, let's put it in another way. Continuing on, most of our playtesters would spend a full week, full 7 days. I don't know how many hours that is. It's more than 48 and it's more than 72. That's all I know. Um, Spend a full week on Ghost and not finish the storyline. We know everyone wants a number, but we're confident to say if you want uh, if you want a satisfying story in a big content-rich world with lots to do and see and lots of characters to get to know, you'll find what you're looking for in Ghost of Tsushima. So basically, I'm thinking more. I hate to compare. Here's the thing. Anytime a brand new game with a brand new IP comes out, it always gets compared to other games because typically they're not unique. In Ghost of Tsushima, we see little unique things that are like in the background, like using the wind to guide you to your locations and whatnot. That's unique. Um, a fully fledged samurai game, that's also unique, but it's like the different mechanics that are within the game aren't so unique. So within this game, from what I'm seeing I'm seeing Red Dead Redemption 2 and I'm seeing The Witcher 3, honestly. um and that's not a bad thing. It's interesting that we're going to get basically a Witcher 3, which was medieval, or Red Dead Redemption 2, which was, in the Old West, but in Japan, which is going to be interesting. What happens when you hit L2 and R2? What are the circles in the life bar? Or is it a life bar? Okay. So, I was actually curious about this myself because I wasn't sure what they were, and this will be interesting. The circles, the little gold coins that you see at the bottom left during the demo, during combat, are Jin's resolve, which he uses to heal or to perform his most intense attacks. Players will have to make the tough tactical choice between healing or landing a critical strike. This I thought was interesting um, because it's basically saying it's kind of this reminds me of an Estus flask where it's kind of like, okay, if you're injured, you can use those gold coins to help your health, or if you're not injured and you're in the middle of battle, like you've parried and you've been blocking but you're not injured and you just want to kill a guy because you're annoyed, L2 and R2 and just bop. Now the question is, the circles are Jin's resolve, which he uses to heal or to perform his most intense attacks. Players will have to make the tough tactical choice between healing or landing a critical strike, or crucial strike, sorry. My question is, how do you determine what determines what? If you hit I'm assuming that's what happens when you hit L2 and R2 is you activate the gold coins, but the question is when you do activate it, what determines whether or not it goes to a critical strike or it goes to your health? That's my question. And I'm wondering, the way they're talking about this, it makes it seem like you can heal in the middle of combat. So if that's the case, then what it would determine wouldn't necessarily be if you were in combat or not. So that's going to be interesting to figure out. I'm assuming we're not going to get any more information on that until the game actually comes out, and then we can see that feature. I know we can see it like active in the game, but I don't think it was used for health. I think when we saw it in the game, we used it to or we saw it being used to perform crucial strikes. Can you swim to those boats in the water? Jin gets around Tsushima on his trusty horse and his own two legs. He can't swim out to boats and start sailing on them. Okay, so essentially you are tied to the island. Jin cannot... Oh wait, it says he can't swim out to boats and start sailing on them. So that doesn't necessarily mean that Jin can't swim in, I'm assuming, like rivers and things like that on the main island. He just can't swim out to boats that are in the ocean. Can you chop people's heads off or cut them in half? Players won't be able to target specific body parts. Jin's goal is just to dispatch them as quickly as possible with whatever means possible. Motto for Ghost Combat is Mud, Blood, and Steel. It's gritty, visceral, and above all lethal. It doesn't take many slashes with a katana to kill an enemy, just like it doesn't take many hits from a Mongol sword to kill Jin. It's a challenging environment to stay alive in. Use every weapon you have. Our other side quests unique and offer essential rewards. It's a story-driven open-world game. Anthology of stories surrounds Jin's main story as side quests. Some of these are brief and some wrap Jin up in interesting characters, giving players an opportunity to learn about his land and his new friends. So some of these friends could also be allies that come to help you eventually, we're assuming. We want to reward players for exploring the open world of Tsushima, so all content outside the main story offers a variety of rewards. Could be collectibles, resources, or charms, like we've shown in the state of play. There are even a few side missions that offer sets of armor as a reward. Sets, so like a whole set of armor, compared to just a piece of armor like you would get in Odyssey. Don't even get me started on that game. I hate that game. Will swords have stats/abilities? Jin's katana is incredibly important to him. It's also his main weapon of choice from the beginning to the end. There are always ways to improve this weapon, both the stats and the appearance, which we have seen. And I really do like the fact that they basically have it to where with your armor customization, yes, you can change it to whatever color you want. You just have to go out and find the flower to dye the armor that color. Um, you can bet we're going to be doing red and black, boys. Um, will we be able to dual wield both swords at the same time while attacking? No, Jin was trained to fight with a single sword in traditional style, but when the Mongols invade, he often finds himself radically outnumbered. To even the odds, he begins to use thrown weapons in the middle of a fight, mixed ranged and close quarters. Excuse me, attacks with deadly results. So you can't dual wield, is what they're saying. Uh, will we have the same horse throughout the game, or will there be different ones? Jin's partner in this journey is his horse early in the game. There's an opportunity to choose the horse you want to go with on this adventure. So basically, they're saying whatever color horse you want, you can pick that at the beginning of the game. Do the armor sets consist of different pieces, meaning we can mix and match the different pieces for headgear, torso, etc., or is it all just one set you can equip? Interchanging different helmets and body elements of the armor. We did see that in the state of play. Multiple different, what's it called? Multiple different pieces that you can equip as at once. That can be, I guess, like your own samurai set. And then, like I said, there's like full sets that you can get or craft, I guess, yourself if you have the materials. And they said also, no one tweeted these exact questions. We saw a bit of confusion around these points, so we decided to ask Sucker Punch ourselves. In Ghost, can you play as another character other than Jin? No, Jin is the hero of the story. Players are there each step of the way, guiding Jin as he transforms into the honorable samurai he was brought up to be, into the ghost that Tsushima needs him to become. And then the last one, are you able to hunt animals for materials / crafting? He says, while there are unique animals in Tsushima that are there to help guide Jin in his adventures, such as the fox and the bear, that we, or not the bear, but the fox, and then there were certain birds. The bear, it was an event that they rode past in the state of play. There are also a few predators that will be aggressive. Upgrade resources can be collected from these specific animals once defeated. So I'm assuming if there's like a bear that attacks you, maybe the pelt or there's a certain bone or something that can help transform your armor. So thank you guys for watching me ramble through these different questions. These come from the heels of the state of play. And yesterday, The Last of Us Part 2 released 8 brand new glorious moments of gameplay. I cannot wait for that day to come. I think it was today on Twitter I saw Ghost of Tsushima is at 50 days. So it's coming quick, and it's gonna be even quicker when The Last of Us Part 2 comes out, because I will be streaming that quite a bit. I'm not exactly sure the schedule I'm going to be streaming for The Last of Us, because if it comes out at midnight at 11:59 p.m. or whatever, that'll be Thursday evening, and I don't think I'll end up streaming Thursday evening. I think more than likely I will end up streaming that the next day on Friday. So my my streaming schedule might change to Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so that way I have 3 days instead of just 2. But until then, we'll stick with just 2. We'll stick with Tuesday and Thursday. Tuesday and Thursday. We'll stick with those two. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys when I am live streaming Horizon Zero Dawn. This will be Tuesday at 11:30 a.m. Central. So I'll see you guys next time. Peace.